She spoke with the certainty of a commander, not the hesitance of someone asking. "You're sleeping in the guest room until you apologize," she declared. I looked at her, my wife, my business partner, the woman whose reputation was built on dominance. And I simply said, "Fine." No protests, no arguments, no attempts at negotiation, just acceptance. And in that stillness, I felt not defeat, but ignition. We had once been equals, not just in marriage, but in ambition and vision. When we first met, I was managing a modest consulting firm, and she was the rising talent of her corporation. I showed her how to read people, manipulate perceptions subtly, and achieve victory without spilling a drop of blood. She would lean close after each deal and whisper, "You always see 10 moves ahead." But somewhere along the way, her whispers became commands. Her partnership became dictatorship. The tiny, almost invisible cruelties began. Jokes at my expense, dismissals disguised as stress, undermining gestures so small they seemed insignificant. One evening, during a dinner with her board, she called me her house consultant. Everyone laughed. I smiled, too. Inside, though, something shattered. Betrayal doesn't start with confrontation or violence. It starts with laughter, with the subtle erosion of respect. And the true betrayal came later. Not in stolen glances or secret phone messages, but in her laptop left open after a board meeting. I discovered her emails with the CFO. Not business reports, not spreadsheets. Words meant for intimacy, for plotting. "I'll talk to him tonight," she wrote. "Once he signs the papers, we'll move forward." Not divorce papers, share transfer agreements, the shares I had trusted her with temporarily, the ones I thought were safe. She was planning to cut me out of the company we built together, the life we shared. I stared at her words, but heartbreak didn't hit me first. Calculation did. That night, I went to the guest room, obeying her order, letting her believe she had a small victory. In truth, she had unwittingly declared war. I began quietly, meticulously, with patience as my ally. Copies of every email, every financial transaction, every hidden account. I secured them all. I sought out her former assistant, dismissed for incompetence, but with a photographic memory and a lingering grudge. That combination was invaluable. While she wore the mask of corporate supremacy, I became the shadow moving silently through her world, unseen, untraceable. Silence was my weapon. I consulted my attorney, a man indebted to me, and together we drafted divorce papers that were anything but ordinary. Every clause was a legal trap. Every asset transfer a puzzle she couldn't navigate without exposing herself. I quietly withdrew my shares from our joint company trust, leaving digital breadcrumbs that traced straight to her CFO. She was too consumed with expansion to notice, and by the time she realized something was wrong, it would already be public. The night before I left, she stood at the guest room doorway, arms crossed. "Are you done sulking?" she asked. I studied her. The tailored suit, the sharp gaze, the arrogance that once drew me in. "I'm done," I replied. She smirked. "Good. Apologize and come back to bed tomorrow." I nodded once. Tomorrow never came. When she awoke, I was gone. Half my belongings gone, my side of the bed cold, and the divorce papers lying beside her favorite coffee mug. I imagined the moment she saw them. Confusion, disbelief, rage. The CEO and her search for loopholes. The woman searched for explanations. There were none. Alongside the papers were copies of her emails, her secret accounts, her plans to defraud shareholders, evidence enough to dismantle her career. By noon, her CFO's name was all over the news, leaked documents, insider trading allegations, whispers of affairs. Her empire crumbled quietly, precisely, exactly as I intended. I never had to confront her, never had to yell or strike back. I simply let her meticulously constructed world collapse under its own weight. That evening she called me. 23 missed calls. When I finally answered, her voice was fractured, trembling. "What have you done?" she whispered. "What you taught me," I said. "I learned from the best." Silence followed, broken only by shallow breaths. "You ruined everything," she said. No, I replied calmly. You did. I just stopped cleaning up after you. I hung up. That was the last conversation we ever had. A week later, I watched her press conference from a distant hotel room. She wore black, spoke of internal betrayal and mismanagement, refusing to admit her own failings. That was the difference between us. She believed control was power. I understood that true control was patience. Late at night, sometimes I still recall the look she used to give me when she believed we were unstoppable. Revenge holds no joy, only clarity. I didn't dismantle her life out of anger or spite. I did it because she had forgotten who had helped her rise and thought she could reduce me to the guest room of my own life. Now she resides in the ruin